We are in the boardroom. Right now, I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's 5 o'clock. We have a confirmation for a quorum. We have a quorum. Let's please recognize and stand for our Pledge of Allegiance and for the U.S. flag and for the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the
United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the tests. I pledge allegiance to thee, the records, my state under God, only one indivisible.
At this time, we'll take a moment of silence, please. Thank you. We will now move on to the consent agenda items. We have 6 items for consent. Are there any questions for any of the board members about any of these items? There's no questions. We're going to move for a motion. I'd like to ask a motion so we can approve the consent agenda item.
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
Second by the mayor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All those against? Motion passes. This time we'll move for items for individual consideration. Item number 1. Marilyn, do you have something on that one? I know we're talking about designating
Yes, Mr. Chair, item number 1 happens to be the designation of the Brownsville Public Utilities Board Secretary Treasurer for the remainder of the 2023 year. At this time, due to Ms. Sandra Langley not seeking for reappointment, we will move right now a motion from the members of the board to see who is going to be taking on the remainder of the duties for 23.
Okay, so we have a motion by the board member to nominate a board member for the secretary treasurer. Can anyone nominate Marjorie? Marjorie, what do you have to be earlier?
Oh, you moved.
Board member nominate?
Any board member can nominate someone.
I'd like to nominate Daisy Samora to be the secretary treasurer for the remaining of 2023, if she will accept. All those.
I second that.
Second, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Motion passes. Congratulations for the remainder of the 23 year. You're our secretary treasurer. Ms. Gilbert?
Okay. Thank you. Item number 2, we have the general manager's report, and my apologies for conflicting with the change of the various last meeting of June that I was not here for when it was rescheduled for Thursday. My understanding there were some questions at that time in reference to Black Start, and with that, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of background. The existing board members that were in place at that time, we realized we have 2 new board members. Welcome, Ms. Daisy Zamora, Mr. Dr. Zamora, and Mr. Alex Nájera. I do appreciate you all being here and serving on the board. With that, I also wanted to say that I gave everybody a copy of the Black Start and what it is. A Black Start unit is a generator resource capable of starting and providing electricity to a load, meaning jumpstart, in other words, the electrical grid. And so this is something when we are completely in a state of darkness. If there's anything that you would like to know, please let me know, and we can come back and bring that item for closed session, because there's some confidential provisions that are involving the confidentiality provisions and where those resources are located in the state of Texas. Okay.
Yep.
All right. With that in mind, we have changed a little bit out of order the general manager's report. The city of Brownsville has requested to give us a on the Brownsville, and with this time, we have somebody from the city of Brownsville present in the audience to present on that item. I'm not sure who's here. So we have our city manager here, Ms. Helen Ramirez, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Ellen. I have here also my Director of Engineering and Public Works, Little, and also our Director of IT, Jorge Cardenas. So thank you here. We sent it to you all. Sent it last Friday. I'll just start while we get the presentation. Thank you for having us here today. We thought it was important to come to you. We haven't been to you to really report and to the community on the project. As you can see, there's construction going on around the city. You know, one of the reasons why we believed it was an important project as part of the strategic visioning plan of the city of Brownsville, its mayor and the city commission, is that, you know, we were listed as the top 25 worst least connected cities in the United States in 2014 and also in 2017. So that's a ranking you do not want to be on. It is also this was even prior to COVID. So I think recognizing the need to improve broadband connectivity, not only for our schools, but our businesses. We have many businesses that also you have 2 or 3, a lot of redundancy in costs with fiber connectivity. I know 3, and they're always telling me, you know, that you know, their fiber goes down every so often, right? And so it really disrupts our business and our economy and our education. So when we started in this process or this vision, we surveyed over 1,594 residents. The actual Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, through pro bono work, recognized that need, came to us and said, we'll help you create a survey and a study. And the great thing about this project is it wasn't just about the city. Sometimes you see city-initiated broadband surveys, but we thought it was really important to include all our community partners, such as the survey included BISD, Texas Southmost College, UTRGV, Greater Brownsville Incentives Corporation, Brownsville Community Improvement Corporation, the Port of Brownsville, and of course you all, the Brownsville. So for us, it was really important to show that the study was really only $120,000, but really everybody signing on to an MOU allowed us access to important information. So when we were able to survey our needs, we can really capture the needs of the school district, the needs of our educational institutions, our residents, and also our utility company, which is you all. So part of the survey showed that 93% indicated a likelihood to sign up for new broadband connectivity. They wanted options. Also, 23% didn't have any fiber connectivity at all, not even by cell phone, believe it or not. 67% says that we're without cable or fiber or any kind of DSL or connectivity. Now, those are the respondents that we had. So it's really capturing that survey and really understanding the needs. BISD, when COVID hit, they actually families, and because we had entered into MOU, they were able to share some of the gaps in service that their own families and their own students had with being able to have access. As you know, we were all virtual during COVID and our educational institutions. So we were able to capture, because we signed an MOU, some of that raw data and information. The city of Brownsville then invested 19.5. We received about 67 million of American Resource Fund. So what we did is leverage that to work through a public-private partnership with lit communities. Lit recently did find investment up to $70 million through Oak Hill, a private investment firm that specializes in broadband, and they have an investment portfolio of about $5 billion. So there's a lot of, in terms of investment behind our initial federal investment that we have. And that's very important because know, when you have, then there's less risk involved with ensuring that the project will be completed. And so that's why you see so much construction going on. And just like innovation in construction, there's pain points. So I know we're going through some of those pain points now, but it's the first time we ever embark on any of this. And we're also working on improving some of those pain points. There's still, when we looked at the structure, we also identified what are the needs. We classified our needs as different sites. We gave them a priority A, B, and C. So when you go look at the map that we have, we kind of identify what are the city of Brownsville's important emergency sites that we would want to ensure that has connectivity. What are PUB sites? We had about 59 total. PUB identified 206 sites total, in addition to AMI or towers that they might want to ensure connectivity. We also looked at all our important schools or hospitals. So some of those emergency operations or areas that were very important to ensure connectivity at. We also looked at what was the private type of contractual agreement with a provider. Public-private partnerships are the way to go. Government can do a lot of things, but why not leverage in the private sector and being a community partner in doing this? One of the important partnerships with PUB was the right-of-way, the ability to be able to access right-of-way and provide that resource. A lot of many providers would not access built-out areas in the city because to them it doesn't make economic sense. So that have to kind of go into an area that's already built out or developed and then construct, depending on the socioeconomics of that neighborhood, it may not be worth it. So what we thought, there's a gap, there's a need. Why can't the government help incentivize that by 100 miles, a middle mile, and then from there, private sector does 500 miles of last mile. So that's the public-private partnership. So we broke ground. PUB was part of our selection committee. We did have representatives from the PUB as part of that. So there's no construction costs to PUB. It also include, you all requested about 288 fiber strands, including 26 strands of dark fiber. So really understanding your needs and our needs. And I would like to, do we read them?
They do have the copies in their packets and they're getting it from Board Effect for whatever reason, they didn't know that they're working on it.
Okay, thank you. So if you go to one slide, high-level design, which is the 6 rings, I have it in my packet. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll talk about those 6 rings.
Yeah. So a little bit about those 6 rings. So the main purpose of the 6 rings is to maintain connectivity, keep those 5 nines, 99% of the time uptime for all customers. And the 8 rings, pretty much, they're going to be all connected with each other. And there's 6 of them. The first ring we started on downtown. Ring 1 is downtown. That's the most dense area. And that's the area that the partners in the city believe that, most of the residents are staying and they need the connectivity. A lot of the businesses are there as well. And to touch a little bit more on all the fiber strands and talk about the projects, obviously it's 100 miles of fiber. The cable is 576 strands. Out of those 576 strands, 288 will be pretty much provided to PUB. And 44 to city, and the rest of them is going to be available for the partner and for the other internet providers. Now, wish I had the slide up, but there's a picture where it shows the rings and the A sites, B sites, and C sites for PUB. Pretty much is ranked from highest priority to least, and it just shows the connections that PUB will get.
Good afternoon, I'm Doro Garcia, Director of Engineering and Public Works. I'll be talking a little bit about some of the complications we've had recently. As you all may be aware, we've had several line breaks that have occurred. We did start in the area that's oldest infrastructure, high concentration of utility. That's one of the things. Before I get into that, I want to talk to you about the review process and what we did to prepare as much as possible to reduce the number of breaks that we had during this construction period. One of the things we did involve the PUB water and wastewater team and the electrical team in our initial review process. We did set out details for the construction of the project.
Go back to, I think it's important to show the public this map, some of the priority areas and then.
The priority thing.
Yeah, so as we can see here, we got the, all the priority sites, all the dots that are in blue are the 8 sites. That's what PUB pretty much said. These are the sites that we need to be connected first. And then the B side, that's where, comes second and so on. So the sites that are, 8 sites are around the A, the ring number 1. So just a picture to, demonstrate how important and what PUB is getting with this project.
So like I was mentioning on the line breaks, prior to the construction of any of this work, we did spend numerous hours, months of working on the design of this project. During that time, not only did the city review this, but so did PUB staff, water, wastewater, and electrical in particular. We did meet routinely to establish criteria for the details and separation that we wanted to keep for these lines to avoid as many conflicts as possible. During that time period, now find ourselves where we're at today. We've had a little bit more than 14. This was the report used for right now, we have approximately right under 20 total hits with 24 miles of construction. And it's important to note that many of the hits that we had in the early onset were becoming very concerning to us because they were not located. PUB brought it to our attention. We've since met with, in particular with Mr. Estrada. I've met with him for the last 2 weeks on what we can do different so that we can advise our contractor better on how to locate these utilities. One of the things that PUB has done recently is given us their superintendents or their grounds people that are actually on the field to go out to the project when our contractor cannot properly locate a line, so that maybe their experience in the field helps them locate these lines a little bit easier. We also have some concerns with the proximity of some of the lines. They're not being in accordance to the plans that we provided. So we are meeting that just recently came up. We will be meeting with the contractor to see what we can do to make sure that they maintain that separation and reduce the number of hits that we're having. And the other issue that we had was the signage and how we are advertising to our citizens about the project, right? So one of the things that we have done, like any of our construction projects, they're required to have their phone number and the name of the contractor and a contact person. That's what we do with all our projects, utility projects that you see going on throughout the city. In addition to that, we felt that this project was going to be so long that we needed more information. And here, I'll move to the next slide to show you some of the images of what we're doing. We did door hangers to the affected areas. We have some A signs, and now here we have some large 4x8 signs in addition, because the volume of calls that we were getting when services were down, not only at the city but at PUB, we felt it was very important to make sure that we advertise this project accordingly. So as you can see, our efforts in advertisement have gone up drastically in the last week or so. I'll go through some of the maps so you can see the locations of where these signages are placed. This is a sign of the billboard sign that's placed for this particular project. here are the locations, and basically we're placing them in the routes that we're taking. We've actually gone to as far as actually having a signage map so that our contractors and subcontractors, more importantly, know where to place these signs. This is in addition to all the traffic safety signage that is placed. This is just to communicate the project and where they need to call if they have any issues or any concern project. This concludes the presentation for the project. If you all have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them at this time.
Yeah, I have a couple questions. I mean, of course, we're pretty concerned about the number of strikes to our utility. My question is, once we start going to these private homeowners, and we're hitting their lines, who's responsible for that? I see that BTX is going to make us whole as far as our utilities concerned, but what about the private water?
The private utilities are being repaired by the contractor. Right now, what we've seen is a lot of irrigation systems get hit, and particularly on Palm Boulevard. We've had about 6 residents that have gotten hit, and these are utilities. Mind you, all this work is taking place within the right-of-way. So technically, the residents should not have any utilities within that area that's within the right of way. The contractor, the ones that he's hit right now, he has repaired, even though it's not a requirement per se, because this is in the right of way. It's not in private property. We do have 2 locations right now where we are confirming that the line placement is within the right of way and not on private property.
And then, so that was one big question. So these homeowners though, will we be drilling on their property, on any private property outside of the right of way for the last mile?
To date, there should be no drilling or digging within private property. The contractor has been notified several times for placing equipment on private property. And just like any other utility contractor, it is up to them if they want to negotiate agreements with them to be able to park or to, while they're drilling, have their equipment on private property. That is up to them. That is not our recommendation. We have made accommodations for them, even on our traffic safety plans, so that all this work can take place from within the right of way.
Right, no, to date, but as we do the last mile. So right now we're worried about middle mile. The next step is last mile.
Well, the last mile is them providing service to the residents.
Right.
So at that point, it would be very similar to a utility company. It would, if the service is placed within the home, they would need an easement or some type of agreement so that they could place whatever module is placed for service or connection to the home.
Okay.
Like a meter, or, most typically would be a meter. In this case, I don't know what device they utilize, but that's what would be placed within the homeowner's property or where the homeowner would have to connect to.
Okay, but for the most part, we don't see any need for
So please bear with us as the first ring is probably the most complex, but we started there purposely because it's where we have a lot of homeowners and more density with regard to businesses as well. And so the way that we permitted with the signage is normally you just see the big signs, but why we did the A-frames with the smaller signs is because you have impact on smaller sidewalks, right? So we're not going to put a big A-frame, a big billboard on a small sidewalk. So we really pivoted with the door hangers and the A-frame signs in addition to the bigger ones. So you'll see probably the bigger signs as we get out further, but we accommodated the smaller signs. It includes a QR code, also the telephone, and it's in English and Spanish. So we made sure that we have an important bilingual, and not everybody, of course, if we don't have connectivity, you're not going to be able to use the QR code. So you just go the old-fashioned way, you call us if you have any concerns, questions, or are interested in being more information and being served by this, because our goal is to be a more affordable alternative. And also, there is a federal program there. If you are below a certain income level, you will be able to be given a rebate of $30. And so for some of our most of the community, this would be a free service. So we want to make sure that the word gets out to them as well. Thank you.
Marilyn, are we inspecting the work done by the contractors? I believe I asked this last time, but I want to make sure we're still inspecting the repairs that are done and making sure they're up to our standards.
So the repairs that are currently being done are being done by the PUB staff. I'm not aware of the contractor doing any repairs on the PUB lines.
We instructed the contractor that all repairs to PUB's lines had to be done by PUB.
Got it. Okay, great. And that's still going.
In addition, just for inspections, so you're aware, the city, we have 4 construction inspectors that are on the project, 1 supervisor, 2 graduate engineers, myself. And we also have a consultant that has 3 inspectors that will be assisting us for the construction of this line. We will be getting electronic as-bills geocoded for the entire project to help alleviate for any concerns, to make sure that we have the adequate separation of the lines. In addition to that, we will be creating a punch list, and of course, we'll make sure that PUB is a part of that punch list when we go through the walkthrough of the projects.
Sounds great. And one last question, then I'll try to be quiet. Are we marking these new found lines? Are we keeping track of all the, data that we're collecting by hitting the lines?
So right now we have a GIS department to staff. We have another presentation that we're going to be discussing about, repairs to the water wastewater system.
Okay, great. Thank you.
In addition, the city's as-built drawings will reflect all of these lines that are found along the way as well.
Great. Okay, awesome.
I'd just like to, in a couple of minutes, to recognize the city manager for comments. This is an incredible effort to bring this technology to our city. But with it comes a little bit of pain. Everybody saw a lot of damage, including myself, at different locations of the city. And we thought the city was being ravished, man, by large rodents, but it's tough, but it's a tough project, and it's going to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. The board, we have spoken to Ms. Gilbert many times. We have to work very, very closely with the city to solve all these issues that are coming about. Some of them with property owners and some of the work that just it's caused some interruptions. But I do think it's important that we have a major collaboration between the city of Brownsville and PUB to resolve issues quickly. As a parent, as a grandparent, I recognize that this technology is an incredible advantage, not only for my kids and my grandkids, but for a lot of the kids in the school district that are perhaps in a disadvantaged place. But it's a tough job. I know you guys are out there. I know we're talking about it all the time here, and we want to make sure that we're communicating to resolve some of the major interruptions and some of the damage that's being caused.
Sure, and we've also added inspection services. So as Mr. Doroteo has stated, that we have actually added more inspectors. So there are more eyes out there. This is something that we've done very recently. So we're being proactive in terms of problem solving, and we really appreciate Marilyn and all your staff because they've really worked hand in hand with us. We don't consider it a city project. It's our community project, and you are important part of that. Thank you. Hopefully in a year or 24 months, we'll be saying, there'll be all these groundbreakings all around the city and just really celebrating the achievement. But we couldn't have done this without you.
And I think it's incredibly important that moving forward as we, and you'll bring this project to a conclusion, that we work side by side.
No, definitely the collaboration between us and PUB at this point is instrumental because we're barely at the beginning. We've done a quarter of the project. We don't want to have these recurring issues. And I think the repetitive hitting of lines, as you can see initially, we had about 16 in the first 2 months.
Yeah.
In the last month, we're down to 4 hits. And I think that has to do a lot with having the collaboration of PUB being out there on the field and helping us locate those lines. It makes a big difference.
Well, I want y'all to know that this board, we're committed to working side by side with y'all. Sometimes it's fatal and water line burst here and there's some interruptions, but we do feel this pain as you move forward. Someone said in September, there's going to be some live, some of this lines will be going live.
Yes, sir.
That's the idea.
Great. Any other comments from any of the board members?
Thank you. I really
Thank you.
appreciate the update. Thank you. And what you're doing.
Thank you. So moving on now to the regular report, and one of the things that you may have noticed, we have a new staff member as part of our executive team. We have Mr. Mark Dombrowski. Today is his first day on the job, and so I also want to welcome him and thank you, and he's sitting here to my right. So for those of you who haven't met him, he's the one right there.
Mark, welcome aboard.
So back to the regular schedule now. We have the board calendar. If you look in your packets, you see under item 2B board calendar, will to be announced dates for the SRWA meeting. You have that item number 8, the designation of the SRWA board member. And also, we also discussed at previous meetings, potential workshops. Based on some of the availability that I heard from some of the board members, it seems like we're going to have to move on to the August 2nd or 3rd. If you have any questions, conflicts, or please contact myself or Rosie or Norman, so that way we can go ahead and coordinate that. We do have some other people that are going to be discussing part of the workshop to coordinate that. So we'd like to include in your packet, it says strategic plan is actually the power supply strategic plan, and that would be discussed in closed session due to the competitive and sensitive information. Other events that are on here, and some of the items were some of the board travel that we're doing. That's on July 12th. We're going to be meeting with the Public Utility Commission, Texas Water Management Board. I believe the TCEQ meeting was postponed, but we are meeting with some of our state representatives as well as our currently new changes that have occurred based on the things that are upcoming. So thank you for those of you attending, making the time on coming to join me. And then the subsequent day, we're going to be meeting with a financial advisor, going over the current finances of the PUB and also a potential development project. Then we have the TPPA and in San Antonio, Texas, and that is from July 24 to 26. At this time, I don't have any board travel, but if there is, or somebody changes their mind or accommodates, then please let us know and we'll come back to the board to ratify that travel as well. Holidays that are coming up is September the 4th, which is one of the meetings that has not been designated for SRWA. It's falling on a holiday. And with that, any other questions on board calendar? Okay. Moving on, then I will move on with items are going to be presented by Monica Cavazos. That includes the financial report, the engineering, legal fees, and monthly expenses, and the Nebraska capital work order report. Monica.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Monica Cavazos, Director of Finance. I will be presenting the year-to-date financials as of May 31st, 2023. So we will be focusing on the far right column, the year-to-date numbers. And you will see here on line 5 that, well, right below line 5, we generated total operating revenues year-to-date of $144,893,335. We have total operating expenses of $121,361,400, leaving us operating income of $23,531,935. We then back out our net non-operating expenses of $42,885,436, which leaves us income before capital contributions of $19,353,501. We add our capital contributions of $3,562,695, gives us a change in net position, a reduction of $15,790,806. When added to the net position at the beginning of the year of $445,310,943, gives us a net position at the end of the period of $429,520,137. I'll point out that on line 16, the other, you see the large activity in May of 2023, 31 million. That is the distribution of the Tenaska Equity Fund, the $29 million plus the interest earned on the $29 million Tenaska Equity Fund. So that is reflected in the financials. So that's, you see that large adjustment in May, the 31.2 million. That is partly the Tenaska Equity Fund distribution.
Okay, so if we remove that from this calculation, we wouldn't have.
We wouldn't have it. Right.
Yeah, okay.
Moving on to our flow of funds. We do see though that if you look at line 20, we did generate sufficient revenues to cover our transfers out. We've got $17,311,867. That covers our operating sub-account for fuel adjustments of $2,136,244. Our improvement fund for the capital improvement funding of $5,938,943. An improvement fund for Resaca capital improvement funding of $239,859 for total transfers of $8,315,046, which left us improvement fund surplus. Sorry, scroll over. Improvement fund surplus of $8,996,821. I do want to point out on the last page, and I apologize, we have had the improvement fund we've known indicates that the $29 million Tenaska Equity Fund is included in the improvement fund. We don't have that footnote, but the $87 million does actually include the portion of there's two pieces of the Tenaska Equity Fund distribution. One piece was for active customers. We applied credits to their accounts. The other portion was the checks that were issued to customers who were active during the Tenaska timeframe, but are no longer active. We issued checks. So the credits for the accounts was approximately 24.4 million. The checks that went back to the inactive customers was about $7 million. This $87 million does still include $344,358 of Tenaska monies. That transfer from one fund to the other occurred in June. And so you will see on the June financials, these are the May financials. Those credits were applied in May. The checks were issued in May. So the amount of the checks, that $7 million is already backed out of these amounts. The $24 million of the credits to the accounts are still included in here, but you will see that reduction in June as well. And that concludes the financials. Are there any other questions on the financials?
Monica, just for the record, so everybody will know, the money that was used to refund on Tenaska, those are large amounts, $30 million. It did not shake up the utility. The utility is still financially sound.
Yes. One measure that we have is days cash on hand. That's something that our rating agencies typically look at. And we still have a very strong cash position, even with the distribution of the $30 million. When we went through the requirements of Section 33L of the bond ordinance, and we went through that with our rating agencies, and they understood the implications, and we still have a very strong cash position, even with that distribution of the $30 million.
Thank you. Thank you.
How much did it change? The days of cash on hand?
It does reduce a day's cash on hand from approximately 435 days to, after the full distribution, to about 335 days, which is still sufficient, more than ample versus the normal of 6 months or 180 days. So we still have a full year of cash on hand. So it's a very strong cash position still. The utility is still in very good financial health, even after the distribution, which is what the rating agencies concluded as well.
Thank you for that, Monica. Anything else from any of the board members on this topic, okay,
A couple more reports for you all, and they're
sure.
in your packets. And we do track on a monthly basis the engineering fees. We had an annual budget for hearings of $3,205,714. Year to date, we've spent $1,889,230,000 on engineering fees. We still have a budget available of $1,316,485. So more than enough budget to get us through the end of the fiscal year, which we only have a few more months to go. And the next report that you have in your packets is the legal fees. We have a budget of $1,860,474. Our year-to-date spending as of the end of May is $734,309. So we still have a budget available of $1,126,165 as of the end of May. So again, sufficient budget to get us through to the end of the fiscal year. And part of your, in your packets, along with the legal fee report, there's a 5-year history in there as well. So you can see by matters. We track it by different matters, by different issues, and see a 5-year history there. Any questions on the legal fees?
Monica, on the legal fees,
Mhm.
what stands out to you and to your coworkers as to why are at where we're at with this larger balance?
Why the spending, there's been a lot more focus by the executive team on approving requests for legal services. And so a lot of things that have been done by staff in-house, some of the routine things that we've been able to do. And so the executive team has had to approve any requests for legal services. So I think that has reduced the budget a little bit.
Thank you.
Okay.
One more from Monica.
One more from me. The last report is a report on the capital work orders for the city of Brownsville. We do have, again, a 5-year history going back to 2019. We do show the services, different categories, work that we've done for the city through the years that we have not charged. Then we do have a section in the middle that shows what we have billed them for this year. This year we've billed them for about $18,000. And then at the very bottom of the page, there's also a 5-year history that shows, because of our bond ordinance and the flow of funds, the city is entitled to 10% of the adjusted gross revenues. We then back out their usage and they get the rest in cash. And so the bottom chart for the newer board members shows you that history by utility for electric, water, and wastewater, what their 10% of adjusted gross revenues was, what their usage was in each of those 3 utilities, and then the total cash that they received. So year to date, they have received, between cash and their usage, $10,373,880 year to date for their 10% transfer. And that's my last report.
Mike, did you and Mike ever work out, how to account for services provided, between us?
We hadn't finalized that yet. The last I know was, I believe the city attorney was going to be drafting some sort of an MOU.
Okay.
Detailing that, so we were just waiting on that too.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And Mike, in our work and business with the city of Brownsville, do we charge invoices that cost for whatever items we purchase or whatever items we use?
Yeah, there's no markup.
There's no markup.
No.
Exactly what we incur.
Yes.
Now, what does make a difference is labor, and employee hours. Do we use PUB employees to perform work?
That's correct. We do the work ourselves, and so we'll factor in the PUB wages with benefits in the calculated cost.
And I asked that, Monica, because some people call me, say, well, how much y'all charge the city? We don't charge anything to make money. We treat each other equally in terms of whatever it costs us, we pass it on. Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. The next one we have is a procurement summary. Solitaire.
Good afternoon, Diane Solitaire, Purchasing Materials Manager. I'm going to give you the General Manager's Procurement Authorization report for the second quarter, April.
Sorry. Can you speak into the microphone just because
Okay,
I
sorry.
know if anybody's listening, it's hard to hear. Okay.
I'm going to provide the General Manager's Procurement Authorization report, second quarter, April through June of 2023. The majority of the approvals were for items that were competitively bid, or they were contracts that were amended. So the total for water and wastewater administration was $707,252. And the total for the electric was $1,007,419.94 for a total of $1,714,672 for the second quarter. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one, we'll go through this quickly. So the next one that we have is item number G, BTX fiber project installation and repairs by Mr. Jaime Estrada.
Good afternoon, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Just give a quick update on the fiber optic strikes we've had there with the city project. It's going to be a little bit redundant. Mr. Loro Garcia already kind of covered them. The last board meeting y'all asked me to reach out to the city to talk to them about these strikes we've been having. So I did. Me and Dora have been in communication, and we did changes and we were able to strike from the very beginning. So that was pretty good. Since that day that we met with the board, we had an additional 6 strikes. Okay, so we had 5 that you'll be seeing in a presentation that Mr. Garcia will provide for you all. The other one happened on Saturday, but those 4 of those were in one segment. We kind of figured we were going to have some additional strikes in that same segment. It's unfortunate, a lot of times you can't see the strikes until you do the repair, turn it back on, then you'll see what's going on with the rest of the system. Another thing that we did run across, there were 2 contractors that were taking water without the proper metering or backflow device. We did call revenue recovery, and they went out there to take the information down. One of the contractors was under BTX, the other one was not. The other one was doing work for Spectrum. So I did give that information to Mr. Garcia, and he did talk to the BTX contractor to make sure that, we do the proper thing to make sure we measure our water. 2 things that would happen. One, you can't measure the water, the possibility of cross-contamination, cross-connection, right? So you got to be real careful when we're taking water out of the hydrants. We do issue out 500 meters that the contractors use. BTX does have 2 of them. So I do have a meeting with Doro on Wednesday. We're going to probably talk to see how we can strategize. So maybe we can give them more meters, and so we can relocate throughout the city. Usually they'll call us and ask us to relocate the meters so that, it's easier for them to get the water. But overall, I think we're doing very well with the city. We're working closely together to make sure that we minimize these strikes. I'm going to go ahead and if do y'all have any questions?
Jaime, I just want to make a comment that I can see that early on, when this project broke out, there was a lot of interruptions, a lot of strikes. Then as y'all communicated, y'all did shut it down pretty quick. And that convinces me that the importance of communication between yourself and the city, key people, key personnel, it's I urge y'all to continue that collaboration and communication.
Sure, we will. I don't know if y'all want to see the strikes, or we can just move on to the next.
I think we've all seen the strikes more than once.
And I'm not going to take my communication with Doro. I've had a long relationship with Doro through my 23 years here at the PUB, so we know each other very well. We'll strategize and we'll get some things done.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So inside of your packet, you have the presentation that has various different information with respect to what the hits that Brenda just spoke about. So if there's any other questions, we'll go ahead and provide you. We'll continue this. My understanding that at the June meeting, this was going to be a standing. So we'll continue to be reporting any events and issues that happens. We'll include the summary sheet that's in there. So are we good with there, or do we want to go through that? Do we want to go through the presentation?
I got a question
Okay.
about repair if we don't. I mean, first of all, if you guys look at the I mean, your men are going out, your people are going out in extremely horrible circumstances to repair this line. So, that's very impressive. I think the 1802 North Indiana Avenue repair caught my eye, and I just got a question about it, from a technical standpoint. Can you explain what the trash bags are doing? I hope they're not.
The trash bags are after the repair. There's couplings, there's mechanical couplings under those trash bags, and we cover them to protect them, to make them last longer from the elements of the salt in the water and the dirt.
Okay,
It does
so
make them last longer.
Covering.
Yes, it's a covering, that's all it is.
Got it.
And yes, it is an additional workload for our crews. We have several water breaks that throughout the city, and this is just an additional workload for our guys.
How are they handled?
A lot of overtime, shift work and, but nevertheless, it's a lot of work for our guys. And as you can see, some of the areas, it's, dangerous work. I'd like to show you this, slide here. This one here shows there's no separation between the, fiber conduits to our line. There's supposed to be 2 foot separation and there isn't. And this is the reason that we're having all these problems. That particular line on Indiana has been struck 5 times. And the contractor was there. He saw where his conduits were being laid, and he knew where our line was. So I'm not sure what the problem is.
Yeah. After the third strike, I did reach out to Dota. We talked about this. This is why we're meeting. So,
Yeah.
so we can
So
fix this issue.
we'll be making sure we don't have that kind of thing happen again. I do appreciate the effort your people are putting.
The item in reference to the actual item number 7, the treaty, but for right now, we have the information from the Water Master report. We get reports from the Water Master once a month, sometimes twice a month, and it depends. And just to give you an idea, the report that's in here is from the June 24, 2023, and that is showing that both the Amistad and Falcon Conservation Group U.S. combined storage is at 20. We received a report on July 1st, and right now we're at 28.23. What does that mean? We're dropping. Seeing, moving forward on the board where they're at. Any questions on drought? Okay, at this time, if there's no any other general items, then we, part of the new rearranging after the new resolution, we decided to then move public comments to allow members of the public to come in a little bit, and we have now the public comment section. So.
No one up for public comment? Okay. No public comments. So we're going to move to items for individual consideration. Marilyn, can we talk about item coming up? I think that or
So item number 3 happens to be the presentation of possible action to select the firms and local counsel. The way the item is written is in open session, the presentations can be made, and then the board can convene to go into closed session. We do have an item in closed session that is the discussion of possible action to select the firm as local counsel under item number 5. So this, whatever the board's wishes are, how to handle this item is at this time.
we can move this item up. And do we have both the law firms available?
Are y'all, are
Voting?
I'm looking for right now, staff, of how the items of the 2 local items, are they in present here or will they be presenting virtually?
We have one present and we have one virtual.
Well, the ones we met as a committee and made recommendations, and we wanted to see both these law firms in person. So we can get a feel of their lead person, we can get a feel of their presentation. I'm not comfortable with the one being virtual and the other one being in person.
Okay.
I don't know about the rest of the board, how they feel. I'd like to table this item at this time, and we'll see if we can get both these firms to come in for a live presentation.
Okay, so I'm gonna counter that if you don't mind. I would say out of respect for the firm that did show up, it might be good to have them both present, see, the virtual presentation, see the local presentation, and maybe decide then if we need.
See the local,
The
the virtual.
and then the virtual, and, see if we need more information or,
Yeah, the reason that I don't agree with it is because I don't know why we're doing virtual work. I know there's a reason, there's at times a need for that. But these firms are local, and I think they should have made arrangements to be here and to see this board and to communicate with us, but I don't know the way,
I mean, it will definitely be something to factor into our decision-making process.
yeah. All right. Any comments from the mayor or?
I'm okay with them presenting today. I mean, I think that's fine, but I agree with you. I would prefer them to be here in person. I think that adds.
It adds a little more to it.
More to it.
Mr. Alejandro?
I think out of respect, both of them should have been here, in person. With that said, I would consider as well, just listening to both of the presentations to make a decision on that, taking into consideration that the other party wasn't here. It's going to be virtual.
Good, Daisy, you okay with it?
I think we should hear them.
All right, we'll move forward. We'll listen to, there's one that's here and then one that's virtual, and when they can do the presentations, and board members have any questions, we can ask them.
Okay, so,
We're gonna do the virtual first and then we'll take them out and then
so yes, virtual.
and then that way we can bring in the other person. Unless you want the one that's here first.
I think the one that's here first should have the first opportunity to present to the board.
Yeah, plus the virtual people aren't on right now, so.
We already knew.
Just give us a second logistically right now.
So this. We might be close to where to go.
He's on, yeah. Can you tell me?
Yeah.
Connie, what are we waiting for? Why are we on hold?
I'm assuming y'all are the law firm? Come on up. Waited, y'all want the other guys first. Oh, well, I think we decided that,
All the guys that are here.
yeah, you're the guys here, what's some of you? If you don't mind. Yeah.
Before we start, I'm sorry, we need to get the other firm off of the WebEx.
Okay.
Oh, are they?
So that's why we're trying to contact them. And they don't haven't answered, but they're still connected. So.
You can kick people off WebEx meetings.
Yeah.
But what's the rationale behind asking them to leave? It's a public meeting.
It is.
Well, we just don't want, I guess, just so they won't listen to the presentation of the
It's a public
other
meeting.
firm. That's just the way it's been handled in the past with all the presentations.
Well, I mean, they could call in on another number, I guess, and listen.
If it's a public meeting, they have access to what is taking place here in its entirety. I don't understand why we would separate them.
Right.
So,
I was gonna ask, does that bother you all?
unless y'all are
Is that
gonna
okay?
give us some of your legal secrets.
Margin.
That's the way it's always been. And so that once you go after the first presenters don't adapt their presentation based on
According to-
somebody.
All right, that makes sense.
Mhm.
So we can ask them to, hang up and call back in.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to be present and provide our firm's qualifications to you all here this evening. My name is Juan Pequeño, and I'm a partner at the firm of Jones, Galligan, Key and Lozano. And I'm here with my partners, Mr. Matt Jones, Robert Galligan, and Eugene Vaughn. A little bit of background about me, for those of you that may not know me. Born and raised here in Brownsville, product of BISD. I graduated from St. Mary's University School of Law in 2011 and have been for 12 years. I've been with the same firm in my entire legal career. I've been lucky in that regard. I became a partner in 2020, and I head up our Brownsville office, which was opened in 2017. I practice in a broad range of areas with a focus in civil litigation, but also have experience in representing public entities. Currently, I'm serving as a general legal counsel for Cameron County Emergency Communications District, which is a specialized district. And in representing them, I attend their regular meetings, advise the board on various matters, deal with open meetings issues, contract review and negotiation, in addition to procurement under state and federal law or procurement issues, along with handling various matters that are very particular to that particular entity. As many of the attorneys in our firm are, I'm actively involved in the community. I'm currently an officer in the Cameron County Bar Association. In 2019, I was Robo Legal Service in Cameron County by the Cameron County Bar. I'm a former Leadership Brownsville alumni and a member of North Brownsville Rotary. And I'm here on behalf of the firm. So what does our firm have to offer to PUB? A little bit of background on the firm. Firm was established in 1984. Mr. Galligan is one of the original partners of the firm. Based here in Rio Grande Valley with a principal office in Weslaco and an office in downtown Brownsville, pictured here. Our office in Weslaco is at 2300 West Pike Boulevard. It's been there for a number of years now, and our Brownsville office opened in 2017 is downtown on 14th and Madison. We are in the Valley and from the Valley, with most of our attorneys born and raised in the Rio Grande Valley. We have a total of 11 attorneys with a wide range of experience and specialties that would all be at the disposal of PUB to select our firm. We have a litigation department and a transactional department. We have approximately 45 support staff along with IT support with access to a vast array of legal resources and databases, all of which would be at PUB's disposal. We practice in both state and federal court with experience at the appellate level as well. We're rated AV by the Martindale-Hubbell Bar Register of Preeminent Lawyers for high legal ability and adherence to professional standards. We have local presence with the feel of a big city law firm, but with the ability to provide the more personalized representation, and we're ready to meet the specific needs of PUB. We pride ourselves in upholding the highest ethical standards and providing efficient but top-notch legal counsel and representation. As far as the team of attorneys, of course, along with myself, representing PUB, we would have, I would serve as the lead, as the primary person here in Cameron, along with the support of Ivan Perez. Ivan couldn't be with us here today. He's been representing school districts and entities over the course of his career, specializes primarily in employment law, and has handled a number of matters in federal court. Mr. Galligan, who's here, again, one of the founding partners of the firm, has represented AEP in litigation defense for over 30 years, along with representing various public entities in both state and federal court regarding employment matters, and has also served as general legal counsel to various public entities and their boards. Matt, who's here with me as well, is our managing partner and lead in the transactional side of our firm. He has handled a number of AEP condemnation or eminent domain matters, along with representing the Hidalgo County Drainage District number 1 on real estate and condemnation matters, and he'll have some time to speak here about that a bit. Lance Kerr is one of our additional attorneys who's also represented AEP in litigation defense in state and federal court. And Greg Kerr is another one of our attorneys that handles a broad range of litigation in both state and federal court, including condemnation matters. Not pictured are Anita Lozano, Gene Vaughn. Gene Vaughn is here present. He's part of our transactional department, handles real estate matters as well. Rudy Salinas, he handles bankruptcy matters. So we've got a wide range of practice areas that we handle. Paula Guerrero, one of the attorneys in our firm, specializes in appellate law in particular. As evident, we have pretty extensive experience in representing public entities in the various areas that would meet the needs of PUB, dealing with Open Meetings Act issues, open records requests, consultation with the board, employment matters, procurement under state and federal law, contract law, and then also utility-specific representation. We utilize LexisNexis for our research. We also use some Westlaw resources as well. And of course, all of our attorneys keep up with their continuing legal education requirements. We're all active in Cameron, Hidalgo, and Willacy counties. Most of us pretty active in our bar associations as well. List of a couple of the references and clients. Here's just a couple of the present ones. And then again, as I mentioned, we've been representing the Cameron County Emergency Communication District here for the last couple of years. Currently representing Hidalgo County on various matters, including litigation, civil service matters. City of Mission, we've been representing for a while. Hidalgo and Cameron County Irrigation District number 9, Hidalgo County District number 1, and then the EDC in Westlaco, along with Missions EDC. In addition, we are all very activities in and around the valley. As I mentioned, I'm part of Leadership Brownsville class, Rotary. A lot of our attorneys at our firm are involved in active in clubs in their areas in Westlaco. One of our attorneys, Greg Kerr, is currently a city commissioner in the city of Westlaco, Little League volunteer. All of us are very involved in our communities, which is very, very important. By engaging our firm, PUB gets a broad range of attorneys that can assist with the various matters that PUB encounters as an entity. I'll pass it over to my partner here, Matt Jones, so you can speak a little bit more about his background with the firm and his experience.
Thank you, Juan, and thank you all for your time this evening and your consideration. I'll be really brief. It's hard for me to do, but I'll do my best. Really, I just wanted to say that we feel like, especially looking at your RFQ and learning more about the PUB, that our firm is a really good fit in terms of the things you're looking for. We have a wealth of experience in representing public bodies of different types. We understand those laws. We have great resources when it comes to employment matters. We have experience in dealing with water line
sewer line, all sorts of utility issues, because we've dealt with that with other public bodies. We've dealt with condemnation matters, and we have a wealth of experience in dealing with electrical matters, whether from a variety of standpoints. So I think y'all have some unique requirements. We think we have unique set of skills and experiences that we can bring to the table. And I would just like to say also about Juan, he's been with our firm since the beginning, started as a summer clerk, and we were very blessed and fortunate to have him. He decided at some point he couldn't drive to Weslaco anymore from here because he had a young family. He was having kids, and I don't think I can do it. And we said, well, we don't want to leave you. You just go open an office in Brownsville. And also, he has a great love for his community, and he tried very hard to been in Brownsville, to be very involved in Cameron County and in the city in a number of ways. And as you can tell from his presentation, he's extremely thorough. You always get a phone call back. You always get an update out of Juan. So he's an excellent attorney, and that's why we really value him, and we wanted to make sure he stayed as part of our firm. We were bringing another attorney into the firm to help support the Brownsville office as well, because we're growing here, and we just really like being involved in the community. So we think we have a great lead person that can help you in Juan, and all the support that Juan will need, we can provide behind that. And so we're open to any questions you may have or comments or anything about us in general, but we just wanted to thank you again for your time and your consideration and tell you we think we can do a great job for you if you give us the shot.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Any comments or questions by any of the board members? We certainly,
Got a quick one, sorry. Where did you go to school for high school?
High school? Hannah.
still thinking about the pace, Hannah, and football from everybody. We certainly appreciate y'all's effort to be here and your consideration to engage with the PUB. And we're going to listen to the other firm, and we're going to take it to the executive, and we'll get back to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, good evening, Board Chair, board members, and Mayor Cowan. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. First of all, my name is Javier Gonzalez. I'm with the law firm of Royston Razor. I'd like to begin the presentation. Just first of all, I do have a PowerPoint that I submitted, but I do want to apologize to these board members. When I was asked to present before you all, I had a previously scheduled matter that I had already paid for that I could not back myself out of. And so I inquired about appearing virtually. My paralegal, Norma Hernandez, is there as in person as a representative for me and my law firm. But I do want to apologize to the board chair and your fellow members with regard to me appearing virtually. If not for the previously already booked expense that I had, I would have appeared there in person. And I would offer myself also, if you so see fit, this board, I can appear in person after today with another scheduled date. Briefly, I just want to tell you all just a little bit about myself.
in presenting here with you all. Our firm is Royston Razor. We are based out of Houston, but we have offices in 4 other locations throughout Texas. I'm in the Brownsville office, and I'm presenting because I would be the principal partner who would be providing local counsel for the Public Utilities Board. Just to give you a brief background about myself, I've been practicing over 30 years now. 27 of those years have been on the civil side. I'm born and raised here in Brownsville, Texas. Our firm, aside from having the 5 offices, we do have some depth in our firm. We have 40 attorneys in Brownsville. With regard to the practicing of myself, for 20 years, I held the Texas Agency, and I do serve in a magistrate position as a judge for several municipalities in Brownsville and 2 other cities. With regard to the work that I've done in the past, majority of my work has been civil litigation on cases, and the civil litigation has been all over general liability claims, from your catastrophic injury cases all the way to commercial litigation. I've even handled matters before administrative agencies such as OSHA and TEA, the Department of Labor. I also participated in seated on a nonprofit board as well. And I've also had other experience with regard to water rights litigation and also economic development litigation in that realm. As far as what our firm and myself, what we offer is, aside from the experiences, I think the biggest selling point for you all, aside from being local, is our firm and myself, we're prepared to represent the Public Utilities Board to give you all legal advice to the entire board, not necessarily for a majority, but to give legal, direct and honest legal advice for you all to serve on this board. The other thing our selling point is, of course, is accessibility. We do understand that the board's needs with regard to a lot of legal issues will come up. We pride ourselves on making ourselves accessible even after hours to any of the Public Utilities Board employees if necessary. We also, because of our civil litigation experience, I think also makes us right for being the right local council board member to oversee and even select outside counsel on litigated matters for the Public Utilities Board in certain situations. I did provide in my PowerPoint as well too our hourly rates that we provided for partners and for associates and for paralegals. I did submit with the request an alternative, which would be a retainer if the board so chooses to proceed with retainer versus an hourly. But to be honest with this board is, if our firm is selected, I believe that the hourly rate would be the way to proceed for you all on an as-needed basis. I'm certainly open to any questions from any of the board members with you all. I know this is WebEx. You know, if there's any type of breaks with regard to my presentation or understanding your question, I might be asking to have them repeated. But at this time, I'll pass and ask if any of the board members have any questions for me or my office.
Any questions? Alex?
I would want to ask you, have you ever represented a utility or something similar to what PUB is requiring at the moment?
No, sir, I have not represented a utilities commission. I have been involved in right-of-way litigation with the utilities board. I've also been before, as I indicated, governmental agencies with regard to litigated matters. But what the key, I think, what helps me is to have, because I've seen the extreme cases and cases being litigated. And of course, there was earlier not in this presentation, but there was question by, I believe, the board chair or someone with regard to legal costs. And I know that ultimately you all are trying to keep legal costs down, but you all need and want sound advice from your legal counsel. So, I think with my years of experience, in our local presence with this utility board, we'd be the right firm to be able to act as local counsel for board counsel for this public utilities board.
Thank you.
Any other questions by anybody else or?
No, thank you.
Javier, just a quick question or comment.
Yes, sir.
Are you comfortable, would you be comfortable in a setting, working with a board on matters of Open Meetings Act and on matters to keep the board informed, of course, of what we should, what we can do and what we cannot do regarding Open Meetings Act and so on?
Yes, I'd be very comfortable and I'd be fine with that. But the other thing I do want to sell to you all is, and as acting as board counsel, is I know in our legal arena, what we call it is a lot of what they say hand holding. And I know there's some matters, for example, for employment matters, that the public utilities may have issues that arise daily. And so we're in a position to be able to offer our services for those as well. It's not necessarily just sitting there for board meetings, but it's also our offer is also to provide legal counsel and advice for the utilities board as an entity when it's going through, whether it's contract negotiations, whether it's managing outside counsel, whether it's an employment question. So our dynamic is different than just simply sitting and acting and counseling on the Opens Meeting Act or compliance with it or issues that come up in board meetings.
Okay. I think no other comments or questions. That concludes the presentation. Thank you very much, Mr. Gonzalez.
Do you all want me to sign out at this point?
What was that? Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Do you all want me to sign out at this point, or am I allowed to stay on this meeting? Because I know you all are going to go into executive session to banter this around, but the question is, am I allowed to stay on, or do you want me off, or?
Discuss this, or do you want to?
Check it into executive. Are we still live? Are we still live with Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, I'm still on. Do you all want me to sign off after this point?
Yeah, we don't need you to stay on anymore. We will discuss further during executive session.
Okay. Board members, thank you again for allowing me this presentation. And I apologize again under these circumstances. I really mean no disrespect for the board. It's just simply that I had another matter that I already booked financially, and there was no way I was going to be getting out of it. But I would offer myself to be able to present in person as well too, if necessary later.
Thank you.
You can stay on to be logging off, but the board will come to executive session and make a decision and then come out and announce their decision. So it's up to you if you want to stay on or not.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, board members, and thank you, board chair.
Gonzalez.
So at this time, then this concludes item number 3. And will the board be making a motion to go to closed session at this time to discuss item number 5 in close?
Or do we want to do the casting of lots? Because this is kind of wild. Okay, let's see.
At this time, we're going to go into closed session. What time is it? It is 6:25.
You guys probably have.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
You need to advise why we're going into closed session and read that and read number 5.
I'm sorry, I apologize for this miscommunication. At this time, we were moving into closed session to discuss the presentation of possible action to select a firm as local counsel. Anything else?
There's already been a motion and
We have a motion to go into,
Oh, I move to go into closed session.
we have a second.
I second.
We have a second by the mayor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Secretary, thank you for redirecting us.
I know. Thank you.
It's 6:50. We're back from executive session. At this time, we're going to move to give the general manager authorization to negotiate and execute a contract with Jones, Gallagher, Key, and Lozano LLP for local counsel services. Ms. Gilbert will make contact with the firm for an engagement letter.
you need to get a motion from someone to move for that.
Do we have a motion for this?
So.
Action, so move. Dr. Joseph,
Second.
we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against? Motion passes.
So, Mr. Chair, we now move to the regular item. The next on here and is item number 4 in the items for individual consideration. That's the consideration and possible action for bid award for the annual supply of electrical inventory and materials. Ms. Solitaire will be doing the casting of lots.
Good evening. Diane Solitaire from Purchasing Department. This is for the annual supply of electrical inventory. We opened it on June 8th. It was advertised in the newspaper on PUB's webpage, and we emailed it to 18 vendors with 9 vendors responding. We have casting of lots that's required for item number 59 to KBS Electric or Stuart C. Irby.
Yeah, every move that's happened. I have no idea. I offered to write a program. This is a problem.
Stuart Irby is selected.
Okay, the term of this contract is from July 17th, 2023 through July 16th, 2024. PB staff recommends approval of bid award for the annual supply of electric inventory material to the low bidders meeting specifications as follows. Wesco Distribution of San Antonio, Texas, in the amount of $650,953.60. Engineering of San Andrew, California, in the amount of $430,414. Tech Line of San Antonio in the amount of $312,191.76. Priester Mellon Nicholson of San Antonio in the amount of $104,275. KBS Electric of Austin, Texas, in the amount of $797,579.50. Stuart C. Irby of Bastrop, Texas, in the amount of $78,430.21. Texas Electric Co-op of Georgetown, Texas, in the amount of $113,224. And Texas Meter and Device of Waco, Texas, in the amount of $169,278, plus casting of lots in the amount of $80 for a grand total amount not to exceed $2,656,426.07.
We have a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second.
Second.
Second by the mayor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Motion passes. The next one's yours also, Diane, number 5?
Yes. This for the annual supply of water and wastewater inventory materials. PUB opened bids on May 4th. We posted the bid on PUB's webpage, had it advertised in the Brownsville Herald, emailed to 4 vendors with 4 vendors responding. Casting of lots is required for the following items. Item number 118 to Core and Main or ACT Pipe.
ACT Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 119, Core and Main or ACT Pipe.
Core and Main selected.
Item 217, Core and Main or Our Works.
Our Works Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 218, Core and Main or Our Works.
Our Works Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 280, Ferguson or Our Works.
Ferguson Enterprises selected.
Item 290, Ferguson or Our Works.
Ferguson Enterprises selected.
Item 291, Ferguson or Our Works.
Our Works Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 295, Ferguson or Our Works.
Our Works Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 297, ACT Pipe or Our Works. ACT Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 298, ACT Pipe or Our Works.
ACT Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 299, ACT Pipe or Our Works.
Our Works Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 300, ACT Pipe or Our Works.
Our Works Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 301, ACT Pipe or Our Works.
Our Works Pipe and Supply.
Item 302, ACT Pipe or Our Works.
ACT Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 303, ACT Pipe or Our Works.
Our Works Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 304, ACT Pipe or Our Works.
Our Works Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 305, ACT Pipe or Our Works.
Our Works Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 306, ACT Pipe or Our Works.
ACT Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 307, ACT Pipe or Our Works.
Our Works Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 310, ACT Pipe or Our Works.
Our Works Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 311, ACT Pipe or Our Works.
Our Works Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 312, ACT Pipe or Our Works.
Our Works Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 313, ACT Pipe or Our Works.
ACT Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 314, ACT Pipe or Our Works.
ACT Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 498, Ferguson or Our Works.
Our Works Pipe and Supply selected. Item 499, Ferguson or Our Works?
Our Works Pipe and Supply selected.
Item 500, Ferguson or Our Works?
Ferguson Enterprises selected.
And item 501, Ferguson or Our Works?
Ferguson Enterprises selected.
VPUB staff recommends approval of bid award for the annual supply of water and wastewater inventory materials to the following low bidders meeting specifications. Ferguson Enterprises of Mission, Texas, in the amount of $1,516,960.59. Corin Navy, Brownsville, amount of $610,742.64. ACT Pipe and Supply of Mission, Texas, in the amount of $671,291.18. Our Works Pipe and Supply of Brownsville in the amount of $2,321,464.10. And casting of lots of $213,683.20 for a grand total amount not to exceed $5,334,141.71.
Thank you for that recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Dr. Holman, second.
Second.
Second by the mayor. All those in favor? Say
Aye.
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 Aye. Against? Motion passes. Thank you. Where'd she go? Oh, there she is. Thank you, Deanna. All right. The next item is Eli. Item number 6.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good evening, board members, Mr. Chair.
Excuse me, before we begin, can you read the item, please, the subject line, consideration? Yes, consideration and possible action to approve the new full-time positions for the electric transmission and distribution, construction and maintenance department.
Thank you. So in accordance with the direction given by the Brownsville Board of Directors, Brownsville Public Utilities Board of Directors to BPUB management during our last meeting, BPUB staff did compare the annual cost of the BPUB electrical utility contractor and compared it to the annual cost of adding additional full-time employees and equipment to perform the same work. So we did perform the study and we attached it to the board agenda item. So I can stop here and take any questions, or we can continue with the basic content of the item itself. So it would be up to you, sir.
You know, I think we can move it forward. I know we do have a couple of new members. Marilyn, can you give them a quick synopsis of what we're doing here?
So the quick synopsis is that we currently have external labor crews that helps us, and so we're trying to reduce the cost by bringing more internal crews. We recently did a management study. We've been able to bring some of the wages that we had that were lower to more market conditions, and so once we have, now that we've adopted the new wage and hour labor studies for qualified electrical workers departments, we feel that we can retain and attract some additional workers by bringing them in-house and reducing the external contracting crews. So this would be a 23-24 budget year. In other words, our next budget year. So we can start with the recruitment at this time, and they will not come in until the time. It takes about 3 months to bring somebody on board. The qualified electrical worker credentials, it depends on the experience, is a 4-year certification process. And so at this time, the 10 will be the 10 staff members will be 2 crews. We have equipment for 1 crew, and we'll continue to analyze with the existing equipment what will be included in the budget year for next year.
And Eli, I didn't mean to take away from your presentation.
No problem,
but
sir.
I'm sure you know all this, but given the fact that we're moving in this direction.
Yes, sir.
What's the schedule look like? She talked a little bit about it. It takes 2 or 3 months to get them processed and cleared. And then the training program is,
Yes, sir.
it takes about how long?
So the only concern that we would really have is on the line worker portion. A lot of them already have jobs. The job itself is in high demand, and other utilities, as we had mentioned before, are going after the same employees that we need.
Right.
So apprentice wise, we have a good pool of apprentice line workers that we can actually hire from the local college. And ground workers in the same fashion, we can probably hire somebody new coming on board with some experience, so be able to take a job. But for the line worker position, it's a little bit different. And we were anticipating it a little longer in terms of bringing somebody on board, recruiting them, and then making a job offer and so forth. So we'll probably have to up our efforts in terms of our advertising of the position and recruitment process itself. So that's one of the assumptions that we have in the actual study that we performed, where we're going to have to go out and actively recruit these individuals to come and help us with the
I'm
crews.
sure you're visiting with Ms. Gilbert about competitive salaries, about hourly wages, as you compete with other organizations for these people.
Absolutely. I would agree with Ms. Gilbert that we're competitive, very competitive now, that we'd be able to talk to these individuals and hopefully bring them on board so they can help us with our crew activities.
I think this is a good step. Joseph, don't have anything else?
No.
Okay, with that being said, Eli, you want to read your recommendation?
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Recommendation is based on BPUB staff recommends approval of 10 full-time positions for the electrical transmission and distribution construction and maintenance department for the 2024 fiscal year, and the estimated reoccurring annual amount of $837,997.28.
Thank you for that recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Joseph, second.
I'll second.
Second by the mayor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those against? This motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, board.
Next item, up is item number 7, Ms. Leon.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Marie Leal, and I'm the Director of Special Projects and Wastewater Engineering and Planning.
Excuse me, the subject line.
Yes, consideration and possible action to adopt a water debt resolution to comply with the terms of the 1944 treaty. The Rio Grande Regional Water Planning Group, Region M, works with state agencies and local stakeholders to develop and update a regional water plan, which guides the development and stewardship of the region's water resources. The Region M includes 8 counties: Cameron, Hidalgo, Jim Hogg, Maverick, Star, Webb, Willacy, and Zapata. The major cities include Brownsville, McAllen, Laredo, Harlingen, and Eagle Pass. Over 60% of the region lies within the Rio Grande Basin, with the Rio Grande River being the region's primary source of water. On June 28, 2023, the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council, LRGVDC, Board of Directors held a meeting where the board unanimously approved a resolution 2023-03 in support of Mexico paying their water debt as is outlined in the 1944 treaty. During their meeting, they also approved asking entities such as the Brownsville Public Utilities Board to also consider and approve a similar resolution. They hope that this will persuade Mexico to pay the water that is owed. The LRGVDC will collect and distribute a packet with all the approved and adopted resolutions, and they will provide these to the International Water Boundary Commission, IBWC, Commissioner Maria Elena Geiner, also to provide them to area legislators and the TCEQ. BPB staff recommends adopting the resolution, and it's in your packet in draft format. Once it's adopted, then we'll get signatures and assign it a number, a resolution number for BPB records.
Okay, thank you for that presentation, Ms. Leon. So we have a recommendation to adopt this resolution. We have a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion by Dr. Holman, a second.
Second.
Second by Alex. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Against? This motion passes unanimously. Thank you,
Thank
Ms. Leon. Ms. Gilbert, is this item yours?
Yes. Item number 8 is the consideration and possible approval of the appointment of a Bristol Public Utilities Board representative to the Southwest Regional Water Authority for the remainder of 2023. At this time, we previously had Dr. Jude Benavides, who was the board representative, and his term expired on July 1st of 2023, which the chair of the SRWA position has been vacated. So at this time, if we can open it up to board to decide amongst yourselves who will serve as the chair of the SRWA board.
Okay, given these unique circumstances, I'd like to nominate Dr. Joseph Holman to serve as the SRWA representative for Brownsville PUB.
I second.
We have 2 seconds. We'll take Ms. Amon. I think she was first. All those in favor of this motion, say aye.
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 All those against? This motion passes. Joseph, I don't know whether.
Debating whether I could say nay to my.
But I'm sure that the Water Authority they're going to appreciate your presence in that board. We're going to move on to number 9. Mr. Hernandez.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, consideration and possible action for approval of proposal award for the purchase of Enterprise Palo Alto firewall and Cisco network equipment for the Information Technology Administration Power Plant Network. Enterprise Palo Alto firewall and Cisco network equipment are for the IT Administration Power Plant Network to support the protection of enterprise systems from internal and external cyber attacks and vulnerabilities. This equipment will provide the necessary next-generation firewall connectivity to support and protect the BPUB enterprise business applications at the power plant, and will give the BPUB IT team more detailed information about the applications, users, and content traversing our network to quickly determine detailed information, and any risks and respond to any threats. The firewall equipment will allow employees to safely access all the critical business applications that BPUB currently uses, including its customer application systems, financial systems, geographic information systems, internet and email systems. Requests for proposals were advertised in the Brownsville Herald on June 11th and 18th of 2023. Emailed to 11 vendors and posted on the BPUB website. 4 vendors responded as follows: She Government Solutions, NetSync Network Solutions, Insight Public Sector, and CDW Government. Insight Public Sector provided the lowest price, meeting all requirements as required in the proposal document. Staff recommendation, BPUB staff recommends approval of the proposal award for the purchase of the Enterprise Palo Alto firewall and Cisco core network equipment to Insight Public Sector of Tempe, Arizona, for a grand total amount not to exceed $272,777.28.
Thank you for your recommendation. Any questions or comments from the board members?
I want to add a quick comment. So this is I believe, second time this has come in front of the board. First time we had a single source vendor. I growled. And Eddie went out and did a great job, got us a few more vendors. It turns out, and actually through some of my own research, I'm not surprised by this, that the initial vendor was in fact our lowest cost vendor. But I do want to say thank you very much for going out and finding these other quotes. I'm not surprised by this, but it was useful just to have this for our own validation that, we are going for the best price vendor. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Holman, for those comments. Any other comments or questions about this item? We have a motion in that case to move forward.
I'll move to approve.
Dr. Holman, motion to approve, a second.
I second.
Ms. Samara second this motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Against? This motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you.
Item number 10 is Estrella. Okay.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board, new members, welcome. My name's Estrella Solórzano. Read number 10? Perfect. Item number 10, consideration and possible action to adopt service interruption communication process for use by the Office of Communications and Public Relations, digital information platforms and business development and key accounts when communicating with customers, City of Brownsville, and other community stakeholders. Mr. Chair, members of the board, I do have two presentations, one's for key accounts and business development, another for communications and PR. I don't know if you want me to go through the entire presentations or just kind of summarize what we unplanned outages or emergency outages, they make direct contact with the customers. They have a key account representative that they do make contact with as soon as they get it, as soon as they know of an outage, because they can impact the production line. In this case, we've added item number 8 and the last item in all of them except breaker operations, because breaker operations are normally a blink or an interruption in their service. So we want to ensure coordinated, timely, and accurate communication with the city commission and city manager, information on so we will also be ensuring coordinated, timely, and accurate communication with the city commission, the city manager on the information on prolonged, moderate to major water and wastewater or electrical service interruptions will be forwarded via email once we know an outage is either going to be 6 hours or more. So again, it's on the duration of the outage, not the impacted customers. With communications and PR, normally on 100 customers or more that are impacted in certain areas, we do communicate via social media. We also send out press releases. We have already been sending out communications to our city management, or actually to the director of communications with the city. Unfortunately, some of those communications were not being shared across. So this will ensure that communication is being done by our city liaison or myself, depending on who's on call. That way we streamline communication and everybody's aware, especially in the ones that impact the community the most. So that is what I wanted to share with that. Do you have any further questions, or would you like me to read the recommendation?
I just want to make a comment. This is an item, and I want one of them here to hear from me. It's an item that we, Dr. Joseph and I spoke to Marilyn, to we want all the stakeholders in our community to really understand and maybe even on real time, be notified of interruptions, whether it be a moderate or an extreme interruption. But City of Brownsville, of course, Texas Southwest College, our Brownsville Independent School District. We'd like for everyone to really quickly and efficiently know, hey, this is going on. So they already have a pretty good platform. PB has a great platform. We're just going to amplify it a little bit and ensure there's no miscommunication.
Correct.
Joseph, did you want to mention anything about this?
No, I think you covered everything. It is important that we make sure that we keep everybody informed on these important items.
And the best part about this item, it doesn't cost anything either.
That is correct.
There's no funds associated. Oh, thank you. So anything else on this item?
I'm going to read a recommendation for the approval of the process.
Okay.
So BPD staff recommends approval of the service interruption communication process for use by the offices of communications and public relations, digital information platforms, and business development and key accounts when communication with customers, the city of Brownsville, and other community stakeholders.
Okay, that's the motion. We have a motion for that?
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion to approve, a second.
Second.
Second by Alex. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This motion is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
That the last item, Joseph? That's the last item at this time. We're going to move back into executive session. It is 7:23.
How you need to read everything.
You need to read the item.
I wasn't going to read them because I knew you were going to tell me.
You need to read all except number 5.
These are the items that we are taking back into executive meeting with board's legal counsel for advice about contemplated and pending court and administrative litigation on matters in which the duty of the attorney and the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct conflict with chapter 551, section 551.071, include agenda items and litigation update, special utility council update, pending litigation, and cause number 2020-DCL-01579, Aviatores versus Public Board of the City of Brownsville, section 551.071. Number 2, discussion and consultation with board counsel of any pending litigation against the Brownsville Public Utility Board, section 551.071. Number 3, information and action regarding cybersecurity incident, section 551.076, section 551.089, Texas Government Code, section 518.177. Number 4, presentation, discussion, and possible recommendation of information concerning contract terms and pricing of purchase power, generation, and fuel, and their impact upon the fuel, purchased energy, and marketing charge, and possible discussion, section 551.086. Discussion and possible action to select a firm. We've already taken action on that. We'll disregard that one. So at this time, we'll move into executive. And it is, again, it is a 7:25.
I need a motion to go into.
Have a motion to move into executive? You don't what?
I motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Zamora.
Second that.
Second by Dr. Joseph. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Motion passes. We're going into executive. Thank you. Dr. Zamora, Dr. Bowman, Dr. Joseph.
I threw out number 21 days. Is that? I threw out the number 21 days.
But the 21 million is what it includes on that information.
Yeah, I
So I'm
think-
not sure if we need to provide the breakdown.
I can get, Keela to.
We're back from executive. It is 8:28. This time the board has no action from executive. So are there any other items from that any board member wants to plan for the next meeting? Any items to discuss? Well, you guys are pretty tired. Okay, it's time. I entertain motions to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn by Dr. Daisy Samoda. Do we have a second?
I second that.
Mr. Alex seconds that motion. This means adjourn. Thank you very much.
Well, you gotta take the vote.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those against, the motion carries, meeting's adjourned. Thank you, Joseph, for.
I try.
Good.
Well, I'll leave.